Hi there, welcome to QuickFire from Volt. This is where we put higher education marketers on the hot seat and ask them 20 rapid questions to get an understanding of what makes them tick, what's made them successful, and what are their goals for the future. In the crossfire today, we have Jenny Petty, Vice President of Marketing, Communications, Experience and Engagement at the University of Montana. Hello, Jenny.
Hi, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Not at all. So, the softball question of the moment, tell us about yourself. What do you do at the University of Montana?
I've been at the University of Montana for about 3 years. I worked in the private sector before coming to higher ed, have been in higher ed for almost a decade. At Montana, I oversee, your traditional marketing communications, digital strategy, but I also oversee our experience and our engagement arms. So I oversee the alumni group, and I'm doing some pretty exciting experience work across the university with different leaders too.
Awesome. So here we go. I wanted to work in higher education because.
I had a kind of glamorous job in the private sector before coming to higher ed. It was really fun. It involved a lot of travel. It involved, an expense account. It was really kind of glamorous and fun. But at the end of the day, there wasn't a lot of meaning behind the work that I was doing. And I thought, well, I've got one chance to make an impact on this world. And my husband and I happened to make our way to the University of Wyoming, and I won't lie to you, Kevin, the entry into higher ed from the private sector was shocking.
Okay.
But over time, really just have come to love the purpose and the passion of helping people find paths through education.
Well, great. Well, in the shocking landing that was higher ed, I hope it got better. But the marketing tool I can't live without is.
Oh, I love HubSpot inbound marketing software. I've been a HubSpot client off and on since 2009. I'm about to be a HubSpot client again. I fell in love with the inbound marketing methodology way back when I was working on lead gen and growth marketing in the private sector. And I just find that tool to be so robust. They're always making changes to it. And I really think in higher ed, we need more people adopting inbound marketing.
Do you use HubSpot at University of Montana?
We are about to, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
It's a great tool. We use it with our commercial clients a lot. And
yep.
HubSpot tried to push into the market when they first, built the product. But
Mhm.
yeah, it didn't have a big uptake. So it'll be interesting to see how you get on using it in higher ed.
Yeah, we used it at the University of Wyoming for a while. We had really, really great results from that. Higher ed's just been slow to adopt on the marketing side. I think understanding how we tie into revenue generation. So
Totally. In the next 5 years, I'd like to.
travel more. My family and I love traveling. So personally, that's something that I would love to do. Um, Professionally, I don't know if I had ever thought I would be in a CMCO role. So this has been pretty fascinating to be at this level and getting to steer the ship and having a big impact. So I can't say professionally there's a whole lot more that I desire to do. I'm having kind of the time of my life right now and have really enjoyed getting more involved with some of our professional groups. And I just love getting the opportunity to be creative. So anything I can do to keep those wheels turning in the next 5 years, I will be thrilled to do.
Fantastic. On that journey, though, what was your biggest professional mistake?
I think my biggest professional mistake was not trusting my intuition enough earlier in my career, not following that gut instinct and not trusting myself enough when, either I had a good idea that I was not confident enough to put forward, or having that gut feeling that maybe something wasn't the right decision and moving forward anyway.
When I'm not working, I'm.
I've got three kids that range in age from 13 to 7, and a husband, and we spend most of our time carting those kids around to soccer and track and football and ice skating and you name it. We are just basically a taxi service, an Uber for our children. We live in one of the most beautiful places in the United States, so we get out and downhill ski. I love to read. I read all the time. Gosh, and then I just think about marketing communications the rest of the time.
Sounds good. I start my day at.
I wish that I could tell you that I had like one of those
Mm.
tech bro schedules of getting up at 4 a.m. and meditating and working out and stuff. But the truth of the matter is, with 3 kids, I feel like I've been sleep deprived basically for the last 13 years. So I roll out of bed around 6:30 or 7, and then it's off to the races getting 3 kids out of the house on their way to school.
It's all about preparation the night before.
Yeah, I mean, and we do some of that, but yeah, it's my mornings are a little bit chaotic. I remember being, a young mom, having younger kids and reading those life hacks, like how to do your morning, and just being like, God, these people have never had like a
Yeah.
3-year-old yell at them about cutting their sandwich in the wrong direction or
Totally. The secret to students succeeding at my school is.
As a student at the University of Montana, I think the secret to success is getting involved in as many things as you can. We have just so much on this campus, co-curricular and extracurricular, in addition to the great learning that will happen in the classroom. And this is just an amazing, like I said, place in the world that is full of so much beauty. And you could get out 5 minutes from campus, you could be on a hiking trail. And so taking advantage of being in this place and then everything that this university has to offer, I think is the secret to success, and being open to trying new things.
It's awesome. I admire the marketing act.
In the private sector, I really admire the marketing at this is going to be kind of an off one, but Duluth Trading Company.
Okay.
Which is mostly apparel for men. But I think their brand and the way they've built their brand has been really genius, and they're excellent at storytelling. Their copywriting is just phenomenal. Every time my husband likes to shop there, every time we go in the store, I'm always kind of blown away with the way that they merchandise in a way that tells a story. In the higher ed sector, I think Drexel does a phenomenal job with their branding. I think obviously Purdue has done such a great job. Boise had some really great work that came out this last year. There's a lot of really good people doing really good work in the higher ed marketing communications.
Okay. The biggest challenge facing higher education marketers are?
There's 3 things that are keeping me up at night right now. The first one is changing privacy laws. That's something that I don't think we're talking enough about in higher ed. How much that's going to impact our digital marketing tactics and the way that we've traditionally used digital in the last 20 years. The second is the search cliff. We talk a lot about the demographic cliff, which is upon us now. We are to the demographic cliff. But I don't think we talk enough about the search cliff, which is just the availability of names of high schoolers that we've purchased and have really kind of fed the pipeline for our admissions departments. In the next couple of years, we're going to see that greatly decrease. And then the third one is brand awareness. So I don't know if you've seen the headlines, but I think this year we've had a school or a college or university close once a week for this whole year. And I think as we are starting to get more competitive with one another, brand awareness and driving affinity towards your brand is going to become more expensive. And for a lot of us who don't have huge marketing budgets, that's going to be a big challenge.
Totally. Without those lists, we're going to have to do inbound. That's going to be a challenge. My favorite social media channel is?
Oh, I have a love-hate relationship with social. I was a former social media manager and got pretty burnt out on it.
Oh.
But I would say I refuse to call it X, so it's Twitter to me forever in my heart. I really found the higher ed marketing community on Twitter during COVID. That was just such a life-saving place. And it bums me out that it's changed so much, but it still is my favorite.
Do you think it's migrated to LinkedIn, though, the higher ed community? Do you think, are they still there?
Kind of, but I don't know about you, but like LinkedIn content freaks me out a little bit when people share like weird personal things on LinkedIn. Sure. I was so used to it on Twitter that it was no big deal to have those worlds kind of merged.
Yeah.
But LinkedIn, I'm kind of like, ooh, like.
I hear you. Yeah. My biggest professional achievement is?
Oh, I think my biggest professional achievement has been trying to have as much balance as I can in being a mom of 3 kids and working and having a big career. Yeah. Just really trying to take care of the people that I lead. That's really important to me as a leader. And so between trying to model to them what it can look like to have a family. And I was pretty young when I got this job. Now I feel haggard and old 3 years later, but just joking. Uh, I think I've really tried to model balance, and I've tried to really take care of the people, no matter what organization I've been at, that report to me. And that's the most important thing to me.
I totally agree with you. My mum was a professional and had a big job, and I was so proud of her. And in growing up, you look at her as a role model, and it's fantastic. So yeah, keep it going. Okay, so what's working in higher ed right now, and then what's not working in higher ed right now?
I think what's working really well is we are having to kind of be confronted with what our limitations were, and we're being confronted in a really kind of ugly way through this national public perception around higher ed. And we are having to kind of come to Jesus a little bit with the reality of the way that we are perceived and the lack of value that people are seeing. And so while that is really negative, I think it is going to force us to kind of adapt and change and merge or emerge into the next generation of what higher education can be. And so I think it's going to be painful, but I know the conversations that we're having on our campus are different than I was having 5 years ago. And I'm really encouraged by people being open to that feedback and taking it seriously. What's not working? I've heard this over and over again, and it's kind of tied to the first one. I don't want us to use the national narrative about higher ed as a crutch or an excuse to not change. And I hear it kind of echoed over and over again. You see it a lot in the trade pubs right now with people just talking about how bad it is to be in higher ed. And I think we've got to stop that. Like, if we're gonna change and we're gonna drive, like, we've got to be glass half full, and we've got to think about, yes, these institutions are huge and can be really hard to change, but gosh, are they important to this country and the world? And we've got to focus on that.
I totally agree with you. And even, the positive energy you get from the student body, you just have to meet them where they are. They might not be in the institutions where we thought they were, but if you can meet them, they just have this great energy. And it's so important. So what do you think the future of higher education will be then?
I think the future of higher ed, like we're seeing across consumer grade experiences, is they're going to be looking at highly personalized experience when it comes to higher ed. I don't know if in 50 years we will still see the traditional model where you get your bachelor's from one school, where you're in resident at that school. Yeah. I think what we saw during COVID and the opening up of digital experience and digital pedagogy is things are changing. And I think students are expecting that. And I think they want to tailor their education to what interests them and what will guarantee them an outcome on the other side.
Yeah. A key to my success has been
trying to keep a really good sense of humor. I think sometimes, especially on college campuses, some things that happen are just kind of absurd. Yeah. And it's just part of being part of like this organization or these institutions is they're so different, and the diversity of the people and the personalities that are on a site or on a campus, you kind of can't beat it, but sometimes it is just funny and absurd, and you've just got to laugh at some of the situations that you find yourself in. I think, my team, we got together a couple years ago and we created a list of our values, and one of our values is it's marketing, no one is going to die. And so I think also keeping perspective of the work that we do, and we're not trauma surgeons, and just making sure that you kind of can keep some levity and lightheartedness to the work.
I agree. You're living through your own sitcom. One thing I've learned about managing teams is
that it's a lot like parenting. It takes a lot of energy if you're going to do it well. It takes a lot of being present and listening and being open to feedback and recognizing when something isn't working and taking responsibility for that. I think it always comes back to people, and people can be messy, but if you're going to lead people, there's got to be a certain part of you that is a little bit in love with the messiness. So, yes. I think it's about showing up for people.
Cool. The hardest part of my job is?
My boss has this saying. He says the price of leadership is criticism. And I think that's so true because in these positions, really in any sort of management or leadership position, you have to make decisions based on the information that you have. And sometimes you have more information than other people have. Sometimes you have instincts that have been cultivated over a career of doing this kind of work. And you have to make choices that some people might not agree with or understand. And so I think that's a tough part. And then I think also it's cliche, but they say it's lonely at the top, and it's true. Like in these roles, like you're often, especially in your organization, nobody else is a CMO, nobody else is a CCO, so it's a little bit tough for people to truly understand what's going on in your world. There's a group of us that came kind of up to our first CMO roles at the same time, and we have a text string that's called CMO Hotline, and that has been my kind of respite from the world is this place where there's these people who truly understand what these roles are like.
It's lonely at the top. I love my job because
I love my job because of the variety. I think it's kind of ideal for me because one second I might be working on a trademark and licensing thing, the next second I might be writing an executive communication. I really do love kind of bouncing around and using different skills and trying different things, and I definitely enjoy every day being different.
that's awesome. Jenny Perry, thank you for being on QuickFire with Volt. We look forward to your conference presentation on HubSpot in 2 years' time. Said conference, we'll be there. But thanks for
Yeah, thanks,
taking the
Kevin.
time to share your details.